Okay, calm down.
So excited to be talking to Tony Greenstein, who is the son of an Orthodox rabbi, has written for The Guardian, Labor Briefings, Weekly Worker, Electronic Intifada, as well as other publications. He is the author of Fighting Fascism in Brighton and the South Coast and has contributed to a number of books, including The Essentials of Philosophy and Ethics and the Antisemitism Wars. And here is the amazing book by Tony, by the way, which is more of a perhaps a tome. Uh, and it is Zionism During the Holocaust, the Weaponization of Memory in the Service of State and Nation. And I really can't recommend it enough. So welcome, Tony.
Yeah, hi, Katie.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
joining us from
Thank you
your
for inviting me.
Brighton. Yeah. So I wanted to start off by talking about some recent events that you went through, and then we're going to get to your great book and a discussion about Zionism and anti-Semitism and the Holocaust. But tell us what just happened to you on a personal political level.
Well, where do you want to start? I was arrested, if that's what you're referring to,
Yes.
on December the 20th last year, when the anti-terrorist police descended on me on the basis of a tweet I had posted a month before, which they said supported a prescribed organization, Hamas. They've since adjusted the charges, but that is basically the accusation that I have written or expressed an opinion or belief, in the words of the legislation, in support of a prescribed organization. So it's not just me, it's happening to many other people. Anti-terrorism is being used as a way of closing down support for the Palestinians by saying that it's equivalent to supporting terrorism. So it's part of that war against the terror narrative.
Of course, we had Haim Bresheeth on recently.
Yeah.
And he also was spent a night in jail, was arrested and spent a night in jail over comments that he made at a speech, at a protest outside of the ambassador's London residence. His comments were, mostly descriptive. He just said that Israel would not be able to defeat Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis. What were your comments, if I can ask, unless it'll get you arrested again and me not able to travel safely to England?
Well, they arrested me on the basis of a tweet. A Zionist said, just say 3 words, I support Hamas. And I said, I support the Palestinians, that's enough. But then I added a rider, I support Hamas as part of the Palestinian resistance in the war against Israel, or words to that effect. And that was what the arrest was on the basis of. And then last October, at the same protest that Haim was in fact, he was one of the speakers, I made the comparison between Israel and Nazi Germany in terms of what it's doing in Gaza. And I referenced a comment I made, 4 years ago at the Palestine Expo, that Israel is Hitler's bastard offspring, which Jewish Chronicle picked up and ran with a big headline about how notorious anti-Semite, anti-Zionist does it again. So on the basis of that comment, I was arrested for a racially aggravated offence. I was released 8 hours later, and they have subsequently notified me they're not pressing charges.
And that you were notified about that yesterday, right?
No. There's 2 separate things. They have to be kept separate. Okay. The arrest on the 20th, I appeared in court 2 days ago, and that was on the much more serious anti-terrorism charge, which carries a 14 years prison sentence. The arrest over the racially aggravated offence, they subsequently notified me I wasn't being charged, but that doesn't carry a prison sentence. It would be only a fine anyway. So it's quite amazing, really, they even thought of doing it. So I will be taking civil action against them as a result of that, because I was detained.
And where are you on the anti-terrorism charges?
Well, I appeared on, Thursday the 19th, at Westminster Magistrates Court, which is one of the it's the only court that can deal with terrorism charges, and I was formally charged there with, I think, two counts. One of expressing an opinion or belief which is supportive of a prescribed organisation. The second one is apparently I was also inviting support for them. So we will see how far these go. Uh,
Okay, got it. So we don't know what's gonna happen to you on that case in that case.
no, I'm remanded to the Old Bailey for the 31st of January, and then they will farm it out to a Crown Court. But it's all up in the air at the moment. So, and it could be another year before it's heard. Even, I mean, the wheels of justice grind slowly in Britain, I'm afraid.
Right. So to play kind of devil's advocate, you guys don't have the First Amendment, right? You don't have freedom of speech in England. So is it more in some ways consistent with your with the value system there, or lack of value system there?
Well, it's a good question, of course. But even if we did have a constitutional right to free speech like you do, in practice, when it comes to things like terrorism, I don't think you do either. Free speech isn't absolute in the US, and it's getting restricted by various court rulings. Supreme Court has whittled it away, and so on. In Britain, we're supposed to be protected by Article 10 of the European Convention of Human Rights, which guarantees the right to freedom of speech. But, in this atmosphere, uh, all the legislation in the world doesn't have a great deal of effect. I mean, Germany is trampling over any rights whatsoever. Even though the courts rule against the actions of the police, they act regardless. So uh, you, you see the police acting as if we like the enforcers of the imperialist nexus, regardless of the courts. And the courts themselves in Britain are adjusting to the reality at a fairly alarming pace, because that's what justice is like in a capitalist system. It is the justice of those who rule, not those who are ruled.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So we interviewed Haim Bresheeth Zabner. I also have interviewed in the past Adam Broomberg, who is part of this documentary that I'm doing on Holocaust survivors and their descendants who are speaking out against Zionism, which I would love to when I return to England. I want to interview you for that also, like
Sure.
do a proper in person interview. Um, but as I talked about with Haim, of course, the treatment of Palestinians who are not necessarily like high profile or don't have a big following, who knows how badly they're being treated.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah,
Palestinian British people or Arab British people.
yeah, yeah,
But it is interesting that I know in Germany, at least, a disproportionate number of people who have been arrested under anti Semitism charges have been Jewish.
yeah, yeah. We're not really Jewish in their eyes, because for them, being Jewish means supporting a racist and apartheid state which serves imperialism's purposes. If we don't do that, then their eyes we're invisible as Jews.
Right. And they accuse us of contributing to anti Semitism, which is
Yeah, yeah,
very ironic.
yeah. I mean, Jews are the moral alibi for imperialism in the Middle East.